Hello, all. I'm S.Stephon Brown, professional muse for hire. I'm posting some videos to promote my musing services in a new digital book, The Barstool Theories 2, my first mental cartography handbook, abridged, now available through Kindle on Amazon.com. For this video, I would like to muse about one of the greatest fears I feel is plaguing humanity, and a few things I think that might help you fight it off. The fear I'm talking about is glossophobia, also known as the fear of public speaking. It is well documented that public speaking is one of the biggest fears we all share, but I believe it's actually a front for a far more sinister phobia and a very powerful weapon that is being used against us. Okay, let's peel back some layers, shall we? First of all, in general, no one is actually afraid of speaking in public. Not really. No one fears doing a great job of it and crushing their speech. They don't. They are actually afraid of the repercussions of doing a bad job of public speaking. They're afraid of embarrassment and failure in front of others, which leads to anyone, shame. That's it, pure and simple. The fear of public speaking is the fear of shame hidden in plain sight. We are taught so early on to fear shame. All of our mistakes, all of our choices, all of our efforts are governed by shame filters that we possess and maintain within ourselves. And that's how society likes it. Many systems in our culture run on the currency of shame. What we wear, how we act, who we talk to, how we talk are all connected to judgment levers that snap open and flood us with torrent of shame. And once we've gone out of bounds or too far in someone else's opinion, that's how shame becomes weaponized in the hands of the cruel. And as written in my first book, I believe shame to be a coward's weapon. But before I go any further, I do need to acknowledge that shame can actually be a very useful teaching tool. It can be very effective to help children learn societal norms, morals, and ethics as they're developing. It can also be used to crush a child's spirit like a soda can, so please use it sparingly. Some adults can also benefit from some shaming, though. There are shameful acts in this world that need to be called out. Hurting other people is never okay. Cheating, abuse, theft, murder, sexual assault, etc. People who do these things should feel shame. But if you aren't hurting anyone, including yourself, you really shouldn't need to feel shame ever. Honestly, if you're doing your best and not doing anything that you personally consider shameful, then you should never need to feel shame. Accidents happen and mistakes are made, and that's what's involved with being human. We don't need to be shamed by mistakes to learn from them, nor do we need to have all of our choices judged or criticized. And judgment and shame are partners. One rarely exists without the other because then neither of them has power. So here's a question. Why is it bad to be called shameless? Why is having no shame always frowned upon? Answer, because if they can't shame you, they can't control you. People only shame you for two reasons, either to stop you from doing something or to make you feel bad about something you've done. Using shame to make someone do something they don't want to do is usually called guilt. Shame and guilt are slightly synonymous, although shame is typically about the past and guilt is usually about getting people to do things in the future. They're both used as tethers to keep you tied to someone else's agenda. Shamers want to control you. They want to force you to present yourself in a way that they want you to be for their comfort and use. And they can say they have reasons behind their reasons, but it's all a duck blind to keep you the way they want you and to hide their controlling motives. Now, traditions are a fabulous way to try and shame someone into acting in a controlled fashion. You have to do this. Why? Because it's tradition. Okay. But remember, tradition is dead people telling the living how they want them to act. That's what it is. And you can decide if you want to listen or not. Because here's the secret that they don't want you to realize all shame, all versions of it, is self inflicted. You have to allow yourself to feel shame for it to work on you. No matter what the external stimulus is, you regulate your own shame system internally. No one else can. They can trick you, berate you, insult you, ignore you, any other form of manipulation, but unless they attack you in some other way, they can't hurt you with just shame unless you agree to it. That means you have more control than you realize. and you may be able to adjust your shame intake. Now, I've recently removed most of the shame and guilt from my life. This is absolutely true. Guilt and shame are not useful for a muse and not helpful for us at all. And I realized that most of these forces that were attempting to shame and guilt me were not for my benefit, but for theirs. Now, I know that reducing shame from your life sounds way easier than it is, but I have two tips that might help you out. Okay. The first is be aware of your shame sources. Okay. Only allow ones that you trust. Learn who wants to shame you and why. I have established what specific sources I accept shame from. And since my mother died a few years ago, there are very few people I allow to shame me. Be very honest. For those I do, I trust them to be honest and forthright with me when I have done something of deserving of correction. Otherwise, I don't accept shaming sources from anyone else, especially strangers and trolls. Most of the time, stranger shamers are acting out of fear, malice, or lack of compassion or understanding, which all feeds back into their cycle of abuse. They were shamed, so others must be shamed. They were yelled at, belittled, or insulted, so now they feel they've earned the right to do that same to other people. And I'm here to say that right is wrong. No one is entitled to shame others, especially those they don't know. Doesn't matter their position, disposition, history, or birthright. We are all equally human, just trying to make it through our days. Now, shame sourcing is only half the battle because even the people who do know us can use and abuse us with their shame as a guide. And that's why I want to introduce a little mental cartography here to reshape your perceptions of the situation and talk to you about the currency exchange of shame. Now, anything with an agreed upon value can be a form of currency, and shame is just the same way. So, for the sake of this visualization, let's say there are 10 levels of shame you can feel. One is barely upset, and 10 is the most soul-crushing horror you can put yourself through. When a person tries to shame you, they attempt to set the shame value for the market. They tell you what they think you should feel in shame with this current act. And that's their belief in the proper amount. But you don't have to take what they offer. You only need to accept the amount you feel is appropriate for the shame. So if they offer you, let's say, 8 out of 10 for shame, they say it's an 8 out of 10 shameful event, but your personal opinion, the value is only 3 or 4, that's all you need to take. You decide what level of shame you need to feel. And that level can be none. Now remember, shame is performative. Shamers want to see their work in your pain, your strife, your sadness. That's how they give value to their own lives by making someone else pay their emotional tolls for them. They can only rise up if they push another person down. So you may want to learn to fake your shame levels for some sources. I recommend improv classes or a failed marriage or two. Now, I understand some people have a code of conduct built into their jobs, culture, or family that uses shame as a regulator. Now, you may believe you can't escape this shame, that it will always be there. But you get to decide how much anything means to you. It's your life and nobody else's. And if you're putting in your best effort and still getting shamed, that may not be where you want to be. And if you being shamed for just being yourself, no matter who the source is, they are not good for you. That person doesn't value you. They value what they want you to be. So you get to decide how much value they have to you. And that answer can be less than 0. I've been professional muse for hire S.Stephon Brown. Check out our website, thebarstooltheories.com, to hire us for musing services, mental cartography assignments, or to purchase either of the Barstool Theories books from Amazon. Bon courage out there. Cheers.